Troop 296 in Coyote Creek for 9 years. I was a den leader before that. Now I'm the council training chair, and I've been on Wood Badge staff for a number of years. I handed off the advancement chair position to my next advancement chairperson, but I'm still with the troop because I love to camp and love working with the scouts. We're a boy troop, and I'm still involved in doing boards of review and that kind of a thing. So if you want to turn on your camera so you can meet each other, that would be great. Usually when we're on University of Scouting, it's a lot about fellowship. If you're not able to do that, it's okay. When you have questions as we go through the session, go ahead and put them in the chat, and we will work to, let me get this thing up. We will work to address them either right away or when there's a good break in the talk, kind of a good break in the action. And we are going to be recording this. And my favorite friend here is Sally Erickson. Sally, do you want to say hi?
Hi.
And Sally's also, you're in advance. Why don't you tell us what your position is too?
Oh, I was also a troop advancement chair for many years. I'm on the district advancement committee and University of Scouting committee and Wood Badge training and all that good stuff.
There you go. So one of the reason I started teaching this class and wanted to learn more about it is I was taking Wood Badge, which is adult leadership training. Some of you have been through it, some of you may not. And at the end of Wood Badge, you're supposed to create 5 goals of things that you're going to take your new learned skills and bring them out to your unit and community, and what are you going to do? And so since I was the advancement chair for my unit, and I had been taught by the predecessor, the person who was in the position before me, I thought, I wonder if we're doing this right, because she taught me. And so I found the Guide to Advancement book, which we'll show later. And I think, Sally, do you have your paper version right there? There you go. It's this thing that you can either go to the Scout shop and buy, or you can download it right off the web, and I will show you where to do that. And the good news is we were actually doing it right, but it was really nice to be able to have it all right there. So we'll talk about all the things that are in that book for how to conduct a board of review. So let's get started. We'll go through what is advancement, what it's for, rules and guidelines for the board of review, the mechanics of it. Oops, sorry. Sometimes there'll be exceptions. What are the responsibilities of your advancement committee and resources? And so I think it's great that we have scoutmasters, assistant scoutmasters, and advancement chairs here, and even just regular parents. You'll see how important it is that the board of review is done correctly. So if you want, you can put into the chat real quick if you know what the aims of scouting are. Anybody have ideas? Or you can say it. Nothing? Well, the aims of scouting is not necessarily to get the Eagle Badge. That's not what it's all about. The aims of scouting is, we'll learn anytime you go to leadership training, it is about character development. It's about citizenship training. It's about mental and physical fitness and all the fun things they get to do. And it's about leadership opportunities and developing leadership in our kids. That's what it's all about. And in order to do those aims of scouting, we have 8 methods, and this is straight out of the Scout Handbook and all that. So we have the ideals that we follow, which is the oath, the law, the motto, the slogan. We have the patrol method, where the kids work together to grow and develop and do activities. We have outdoor programs. As we know, 3/4 of scouting is outing, so that's important. Advancement is one of the methods. Having them work with adults. So this is great when you're doing boards of review. They're not meeting with their buddies, they're meeting with us, and it's adults who are not their own parent. personal growth, leadership development, and the uniform. These are the 8 methods of scouting. And so what we're going to do is talk today about one thing, and that's the advancement. So to define it, in scouting advancement, it is a method. It's part of their experience in scouting. And it's about the experiences. This is not data gathering and facts and figures. It is, how do I learn experiences that are going to be useful for my life skills? Personal growth is the biggest important factor in this. And we can go into the steps in advancement where the scout will learn through their unit and the other scouts teaching them, hopefully. That's what should be happening in a scout run troop. Then the scout is tested. That's where they get their sign-offs in their book from the scoutmasters, assistant scoutmasters, scouts who might be 2 levels above them in rank, that kind of thing. The scout is reviewed. That's us, the board of review. And then the scout is recognized. That is the court of honor. And that's where, and it's also recognized straight away the next week. Hopefully you can do that when they've made any kind of achievements. The unit, the troop, has certain responsibilities, and it's up to us to help support that. So the unit leader is going to have an advancement program with goals, and that's what you do when you do your charter, your rechartering. You use your Journey to Excellence worksheets and scorecards. And although achieving Eagle is not the end goal or the aim for a scout, but it does sort of show the health of the unit. If nobody's advancing, then something's happened. Now, it might be a pandemic at the time, but generally all the scouts should be moving forward. And if not, there might be some reasons why that might not be happening. We do want to maximize rank achievement according to what the scout is able to do. And the program is set up that anybody can achieve all the rank advancements. And we want to have a smooth implementation of the process of advancement. So that's what our job as a unit. The book that Sally showed you has a lot of stuff in it. And the section we are going to talk about is specifically this section 8. Now, the nice thing is there's the book, and you can, it's easy. I'll have the links at the end of this, but it's so easy. You can just do Google BSA Guide to Advancement, and it will pop up. And there are different ways you can get on. If you go to scouting.org, you can find it in a PDF version, so you can have it just right on your desktop and always be looking at it. Or you can print it out, you can get it out of the book, or they also have it in the file store method where it's live and it has little links to different things too. So the purpose of the Board of Review. We want to make sure that we are consistently doing these boards of review according to the guidelines. One of the funnest things that we've done the past several years is when we go to summer camp, a lot of times the kids have been working on all their activities and their requirements. And then when we get to summer camp, they might finish up some of the things because they're hard to do sometimes in a troop, especially stuff like some of the first aid things or doing the swimming and that kind of thing. So now they'll be at summer camp and we can actually we do conduct boards of review at summer camp. We used to always wait until afterwards. All the kids would have been there for a week. We'd come home and we have a troop that's anywhere from 35 to 70 kids, depending on years and stuff like that. We would come home, we might have 15 boards of review to do. And that's really hard to do in a timely way. So what we would do is we'd bring our stuff up to camp and we would do boards of review up there. And we would have a couple scoutmasters and maybe 2 other parents. Well, it would be me and another, the advancement chair or something like that. We can now do boards up there at summer camp with adults from other troops because they know it, because it's consistent according to the guidelines. So anybody who's been doing boards of review can help other troops. We want to see what the quality of the scouts' experience has been. This is going to also tell you great things about what's going on in your troop. Are the older scouts or the more experienced scouts helping the younger scouts? Are your scoutmasters available? Are you making available the swimming pool so that scouts can get their 25-yard swim test in place? That kind of thing. Let's see if they're qualified to advance. And we want to encourage them to move on to the next rank while we're in there so that they don't get stuck. You have to grant the board of review when the requirements are met. If the scout comes and he's got all his stuff or she's got all of her requirements signed and she's had the Scoutmaster conference, as the advancement chair, you need to make that board of review available soon, like next week we're going to do it. You don't do it quarterly. You don't do it once in a blue moon. You've got to reward them and recognize that they've had that right away. And when they finish their stuff, it's up to the unit leader and the committee. So that's everybody in this room to make this happen. And in our troop, I know that when the Scoutmaster has the board of review, Scoutmaster will tell the scout, okay, go tell Mrs. Brassfield you're ready for your board of review. And we want that scout to come to me, again, working with a parent or an adult who's not their own parent. And we want them to come and ask for that board of review. But every now and then they'll space out and forget. And I always know when the Scoutmaster is having Scoutmaster conferences. So if Rajesh comes out and he's just had his Scoutmaster conference before the night is over, and I'll ask him, says, anything happened tonight? And I'll make sure he tells me, oh yeah, I had my Scoutmaster conference, I passed. So you can encourage your scouts to go ask for the board of review, but it's still up to us as the unit leader and the committee people to make sure that they're doing it. Now, you don't want to drive them hard, but just make sure it's super available, enable them. So now we're going to talk. Everybody good so far?
Yes.
And okay, thanks. The board of review has to be between at least three, no more than 6 board of review members. You can't have 7, you can't have 8, you can't have 2. It has to be between 3 to 6. They have to be 21 years old. So one person will serve as the chair. That means if you're the advancement chair, you're going to every single unit meeting, right? And let's talk about in non-COVID situation. At the end, I'm going to talk about how to do this in COVID also. There's a whole thing from the advancement guideline book on how to do this on video conferencing. But one person will be the chair. If for some reason I'm the advancement chair and I got called away to a meeting, I make sure that I have somebody else that I can count on that's going to step in and be the chair for that day. Unit leaders and scoutmasters and assistant scoutmasters cannot serve on the board of review for their own unit. Now, when you go to summer camp, you can go and be on a board of review for somebody else's unit, but not for our own unit. Of course, a parent or guardian can never be on the board of review for their own scout, right? That wouldn't be right. That's the engineer doing their own QA in Silicon Valley speak. Everybody understands that. And the candidate, the scout or their parents cannot also tell you who they want to be on the board. So I can't choose and handpick people that I think are going to do good for my scout. The board is going to be chosen by the advancement chair, and every parent who participates is going to come in with an open mind, because that's what all of us parents are going to do. It's very fun and exciting to see all these kids start off where they can barely look you in the eye, they can barely do a handshake, and they come out of this program fabulous young people that can interview, go off to do whatever they want to do. So it's very exciting to do that. Now, the rule about the uniform. And I heard, again, this was one of these things that I heard all kinds of stories from various units. And I thought, yikes, what is going on? You can wear, we prefer, and when I say we, I mean the BSA, prefers that the scout comes in their full uniform, all dressed up as pretty as they can be, with their merit badge sash on if they've got merit badges, and that way it helps as a talking point too. They can go, oh yeah, this was my favorite, that kind of thing. And they wear their full uniform in the manner in which the troop or the crew or ship, how they wear it. However, they wear as much of it as they own, and it's got to be neat and tidy in appearance. But sometimes a scout, it might not be practical because we were off at camp and we were at Mount Lassen and it rained so hard that their shirt got all trashed up and too wet or something like that. And they changed into dry clothes, and we actually had this last year. We went to Mount Lassen. It was a stretch outing for 4 days. The rain was torrential. A lot of things got wet, and we did boards of review in the back of the expedition, in the back of the SUV. And the scouts were just so bundled up because it had been pretty cold out. And that's okay, because they came as neatly dressed. They tucked in their shirts. They still had their, they looked good. And we did boards of review in there. It was quite a crowd because we had 3 adults and then a scout. And so make sure they're appropriately dressed. You also they're not required actually to purchase a uniform. So if if they just don't feel like it, that's not okay. But if there are socioeconomic conditions that make somebody not able to afford, you can have a uniform bank or something like that in your unit. A lot of times we've had kids that would come for their board of review and they realize they forgot their neckerchief. So they'll borrow one from their scout mates, and that's okay too. So you can't say no board of review, but get them, they better be clean and tidy in their appearance, whatever they've worn.
Hey, Eve, we have a hand up. Kelly's got a question, it looks like.
I can't see the hand, so that's good. Who's
But I'm here.
Hello?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. So we have a brother and sister troop. We have a 404 and 406. They work together a lot. If we're at camp, can we have the scoutmaster from 404 help with the 406 boards of review, or is that too close?
Well, legally, you can't do it for their own unit. If the scoutmaster isn't legally, I'm talking about for BSA.
No, but there is 2 separate troops because it's a girl troop and a boy troop.
Right. So if they're registered, but they shouldn't be registered as a scoutmaster. Is the scoutmaster for the girl troop cannot be registered as a scoutmaster for the boy troop?
Correct.
Yeah. Then they would be able to do it.
Okay.
But I have to it's good to have more diversity in your board, because if the scoutmaster for the boy troop is also very involved in the girl troop and is giving direction and helping with training skills or they shouldn't be signing off stuff and all that. You know what I mean? You just need to make it be that the board is not people who've been signing off on requirements and stuff like that. Does that help, Kelly?
Yes, that does help. Actually, I had another question. You said for the Eagle board, or for a board of review, the scout shouldn't have any influence on who's serving on the board of review.
Yeah.
So when I'm a new troop committee chair, and I just helped with an Eagle board of review, and that's why I felt like I needed to get some background by coming to this.
Yeah.
But I was encouraged to ask the scout if there was anyone he wanted to serve on his Eagle board of review. Should I have not done that?
Not at all. Yeah, completely.
Okay.
The rules. Yeah.
Okay. And that is outlined in the guide to advancement. So I could show that to the person who told me to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's actually in that section that I just had. Hold on, because it's section 8003. See, I actually put the section. I didn't make any of this up, believe it or not. It is straight out of the guide. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Does that help?
Yeah, and so I guess my question is this the only training that there is for boards of review? Like I guess as a troop committee chair, I didn't know that I might be asked to help with the board of review, and so I didn't know until after I'd done a board of review that I should come to this training?
I think that the guide to advancement is so straightforward, clear, that if you just read that thing and even just section 8, you will get it. It's all right there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Now, you know, anytime you have questions about this stuff, by the way, you should, there are a few people you can ask. You can always go to your commissioner, and you can always go to your district advancement chair or representative. I don't know how you call, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are very good questions. And these are the weird things that, I shouldn't say, these are the things that I heard about in various cases, which I thought, golly, are we doing this right or not? Because I would hear things like that. So yeah. I think when you are working with a scout and if you're trying to be encouraging for them, you can just say, well, are you ready to go? Is there anything you're concerned about? And maybe ask them, but you don't get to choose. Yeah. It's like asking, what questions do I get to ask? Now, the other thing is that, which I'll talk about later, in our troop, when we make the arrangement with the scout and say, okay, Tuesday night, be there at 7, you're going to have your board of review. These are samples of the questions you're going to be asked. We give the kids the questions. This is not a torture chamber. It is not an interrogation or exam. And we give those same questions to the parents who are going to be doing this. They don't get to make up and say, give me the Declaration of Independence by memory or anything like that. There are rank advancement, there are rank appropriate questions for every single rank. So this is not, so we're going to talk about that, what we cover. So you might have a situation where that maybe people on the board think, gosh, I don't think that kid should go through, or something like that, for whatever reason. You might have heard a story about something that happened on a camping trip. You might not know that somebody's finished the requirements. So any of that stuff needs to be taken care of before the board of review. And we can bring in the scoutmaster, ask your questions, because the scoutmaster is closer to the unit and really knows, closer to the scouts, and they know what's going on. There may be possible out of bounds areas. So sometimes you might have a scout who's having something, sort of a life-changing experience at home in their house. Maybe grandma just passed away who lives with them, and we don't want to necessarily bring up anything like that. Or maybe parents are getting divorced, or maybe something has happened, or maybe a scout has certain challenges. So if somebody is on the autism spectrum, we should not be expecting that kid to be able to look us straight in the eye when they're doing their interviewing, because some just can't do it. So it's good for us to sort of explain a few things of what to expect. And you never compare kids. So somebody might be super gregarious and super professional looking in the interview, and somebody else is so shy and so terrified. It's okay. Every scout is different. So get that all done before you open up the board. Then when we get to the board of review, again, it's not an interrogation. What we want to do is have a relaxed and comfortable atmosphere with these kids. This is the first time they're probably sitting in a group interview situation. Imagine if you were doing that now as an adult. It's not always that comfortable. It is still formal, and the scout will still be doing their best to use good sentences and proper grammar, and they don't do everything with those monosyllabic grunts like, what's your last camping? Yeah, we went camping. Yeah. They all end with yeah. It's like they're done. So they need to have a little more into it than that. So what we'll do is the scout, the chairperson will say, what's your name? Tell me why you're here. Tell us why you're here. And they'll say, hi, my name is Joe Bob Smith, and I'm here from my second class board of review. And now we will introduce ourselves. Do you know everybody on the board? I'm Mrs. Brassfield, I'm Ren's mom, this is so-and-so, and they'll all introduce each other. It is possible, although not recommended, that in case a unit leader, a scoutmaster wants to attend, they need to be way off in the background. They're not coaching the scout. They can observe only, but they cannot participate. And what we found and what they talk about in the book the dynamics change a lot when a scoutmaster's in the room. So the kid needs to be able to just speak freely and get comfortable with a new adult again. They've gotten comfortable with the scoutmaster, they need to get comfortable with new adults. We do a few minutes to sort of get acquainted. We'll explain the board of review process. Okay, Joe Bob, we're going to be going through a bunch of questions. We just want to hear about your experiences. And then when we're finished chatting, we will let you go out of the room. We'll talk about what we've heard. We'll have you come back in and let you know what happened. That's all you have to do. This is not a big deal as far as time. It doesn't take the entire meeting. It takes 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the rank. So in our troop, we have flags. If the kids make their announcements, we go to the other room. We do the board of review where the parents are waiting. The scout sets up the room with the seats, and then we go in the other room. We do our board of review, and we're done before the hour is up, between back to announcements again.
Eve, we have a hand up.
Yes. Hi, Laxmi.
Hi. So just a quick question. You did mention that if the Scoutmaster wants to attend a board of review, she can stand way far and then observe the conversation. Is that the same protocol for the parent as well if they want to observe?
No, cannot be there. Yeah. There's a special. Yeah, if somebody has a special needs situation or something like that. But if this is just a helicopter parent, there's not, no.
Okay.
And let me tell you, I'm gonna give you a little something here. I have seen so many helicopter parents, and those kids, and we will actually tell them, and I've heard Scoutmaster tell the parents too, your child changes so much when you're in the room from when you're not in the room. Mm-hmm. And they are these amazing young people when you're not there. Now you should be proud of that because whatever you're doing at home is working. But if you hover, you're going to change their ability to interact with other parents. The other thing is the more you keep interfering, you take away the opportunity for other scouts to be leaders or for other adults to help that child. So the best thing, if they want to say, well, I want to see what a board of review is like, say, thank you, come do this, kids. Even if they come to pick up kids after camping and they start going to tend to their tent, if you feel compelled to help somebody, go help that other group over there. Don't help your own patrol, help somebody else's patrol. Yeah.
Okay, and then Kelly has her hand up.
Yeah.
Another question.
If you put your questions in the chat, then I have a better opportunity to know when's the right time to interrupt Eve.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the one about the Scoutmaster attending. Another question. Does the Scoutmaster attend at the request of the Scout, or do the Scoutmaster say that they want to attend?
Well, let me hold on, because the Scoutmaster shouldn't be attending. Again, it should be only for some special situation. So I think, why does the Scoutmaster want to go? That's what you should ask. Because again, okay, part of this is for them, it's the method of learning how to deal with adults, right? And so, yeah, I am.
Yeah, it's generally discouraged. There are special circumstances where it might be a good idea, but generally it's, parents and leaders should not be in the meeting.
The other thing you're doing when you have Scoutmasters in, the Scoutmaster, just like other kids, you're now taking away the opportunity for the committee members to do their job. It's the same thing. If as a Scoutmaster keeps coming in, that says that the Scoutmaster doesn't trust their committee. Yeah. And so why are they doing that? It's you gotta enable people to do this stuff. Now,
and I'm just watching the time here.
Yeah. Let's keep going, and then if you can, save your questions up if we can do that, because we might even address them as we go. Oops. So when we go through the scout, the chairperson's going to ask the scout to stay standing up when they come in the room, introduce themselves while they're there. We are going to introduce ourselves. And now I ask the scout to give me the scout oath and the law. I don't care which order you do it in. Tell me which one you're going to do. Go ahead and do that. And for first class and above, they should do the oath and the law and the scout motto and the slogan and the outdoor code. They are now having scout skills. They're going to be considered a senior scout after first class. That's what they should do. We want to find out what these kids have learned and who taught them. Again, it's not an exam. So tell us about your last camp out and what did you do? And if they just said, well, we went to Mount Lassen. Okay, did you cook? Did you plan? We want to find out. Are they the ones who went off and got the food for the troop? Did they cook? Did they clean? Did they help lead the hike? What did they do? That kind of thing. Who taught them? What did they get when they fulfilled these requirements? Well, now I know how to build a fire and I earned my totem chit and I did these things. Really fun. You can go and look for the questions, and they're kind of standard questions. And even when we go to summer camp, and we have a folder that has 6 copies, or actually more than that, because if we have 2 boards going on at the same time, but we have a bunch of copies of the questions for every rank are ready to go. And the advancement chair just carries this package with them of the folder of the questions, so that when a new parent comes, or any parent, they have a cheat sheet of questions. This is also how you're going to get new parents to show up. I don't know what to ask the kids. You don't even have to know. Read a question off the sheet. There you go. You don't want anybody to have a reason to not attend. So go to maxscouter.org. They're all right there, and use it as the rank appropriate. So what should be talked about? How did you live the scout oath and law? And some of the younger kids might start, well, I was trustworthy because I did this, and then I was loyal because I did that. And they don't have to go through the whole law, but it's ways that they start thinking about, oh, and I was helpful and stuff like that. A good turn, do a good turn daily. That's one of the things that the scouts are supposed to do. So in the beginning, if we say, what's the good turn you did today? And they look at you like, I don't know what that is. And then we talk about, what does it mean to be a good turn? Okay, it means to do something for somebody else without being asked to do it. Oh yeah, I helped my mom in with the groceries, or I took out the trash, or I fed the dog, or I helped my brother with his homework or something. This is the kind of stuff. We're just getting them to chit chat. What have they done? It's not a test. It doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes they'll say things and you think, nope, that's not quite right. And we had one kid we said, what's your duty to God? And he says, well, I'm an atheist. I said, really? Because in scouting, that's not so much what we do, right? There's got to be some belief in something higher than us. He says, well, I don't really know what religion I want to be. I said, well, that's different. I said, this is what these words mean. This is what atheist means. This is what it means. If you haven't found your faith, he's, oh no, I believe in God. I just don't know which flavor I want to do. I said, okay, there we go. So it's a discussion that we can have. And we want them to have a positive outlook, accept the ideals of scouting about character, development, leadership, physical fitness, and that they've done the right thing. They have a good moral compass. So we also want to do boards of review because it helps lead to our program improvement. So this is the part, again, where it's good not to have the scoutmaster or the parent in the room. Because again, this is your QA. If the same person who wrote it is reading it, you're not going to find the bugs, right? So you'll see your unit's effectiveness. If it turns out that every time they go camping, there are these siblings over there, these 2 kids that keep fighting with each other and nobody wants to go camping because the bickering is so, unpleasant. You might find out about that in a board of review just by happenstance. We might find out that, oh, we're doing great because every time we go, or at least, 3 times a year on our camping trips, we have an axe yard and a fireman chit so they can learn the totem chit, and that's good. Or you might find out the kid's not advancing because we're not able to put a swimming pool in place where they can do their swim class, or nobody taught them first aid or something. So it's good for us to decide what are we going to do in our outings too. of course, we just continue to strengthen the national advancement procedures. And it also lets you figure out what kind of leadership and how to adjust according to circumstances. You might have a scoutmaster who's very consistent and runs with the scouts a certain way, and then an assistant scoutmaster who doesn't do much in that way. So you might learn, oh, I need to strengthen up my assistant scoutmaster, or maybe the senior patrol leader has a certain style and then they aren't. And can you share this slide too? What is that? Eric? I don't know what that said. Say it again. And you're going to find out what are scouts who are not advancing. You'll figure out it is okay to do a board of review for a scout who's not ready to pass to the next. If you haven't seen that kid in over a year in a board of review, we can ask them, would you like to have a board of review? And we'll talk about what's going on and see if there's something. You might find a snag of something that they're not able to do a requirement for, didn't even think about it. Ask open-ended questions. I don't want to say, did you go to last month's camp out? I want to say, when's the last camping trip you went with? What did you do? And sometimes, again, they'll kind of make these short questions, short answers, but you'll probably have to expand a little. So tell me more about that. Can you tell me a story about how the hike went? Why did you do that? And let them go. And it's something that they'll do with maturity. They'll get better and better. When all the questions are done, and again, this is 15, 20 minutes at the most with all of the introductions and everything, say, okay, let's have you go out and I'll call you back in. Now the board members all talk about, did the scout complete the requirements? Do we feel good? Are they ready to go? And then the board has to be unanimous. As a chairperson of the board, we want to let our other teammates speak first. I mean, you're going to have something in your head if you think the scout should go on, but let's hear from everybody else. And what we do is we collect, what did the scout do well? What did they need to improve on? And we write that down in a little note, but I want to hear from everybody in there. And then I'll share my own. Sometimes a scout, it wasn't quite clear. And this is going to be usually for the older ranks where leadership is a requirement, and a kid may not be able to explain what they did in their leadership position. And leadership is one of the requirements. Now, I don't know how they got into the board of review and why the Scoutmaster passed the Scoutmaster conference that way. But we had, and I've done boards of review for 15 years now. That's how long I've been doing boards of review. And I would say maybe there have been 3 that we haven't passed a scout. And it has usually been because they couldn't explain what they did for leadership. The scout was the quartermaster. Oh, what did you do for that? Well, I don't really know. I couldn't. And the quartermaster, they're supposed to keep track of the inventory and the scout shed or the camping equipment or the cooking gear. And when we come home from the trip, I check out the tents and I know what scouts took the tents home to dry them out and bring them back. And I know that they came back, and that kind. There are roles for everybody. And we had one, he was a chaplain aide. He didn't do anything to do chaplain aide in the 6 months he was in that leadership position. And so, and there's not that much to do. It's not that hard, but he didn't even know what was supposed to be done. So we will bring them back and you can ask them questions. And if we have disagreements, and I'll talk about what you do if you think somebody's not ready to pass, but if we in the board have a disagreement, I think they should pass, I don't think, and then finally say, oh yeah, okay, let's pass that scout. We don't talk about that with the scout. That's our own business. So all we know is the scout has passed and we move on. Let's say the scout, we agreed they're going to pass, bring in the scout from the other room, handshakes all around, sign the scout's handbook. The board of review date is the effective rank date. Go ahead and complete your scout book, internet advancement. You'll probably have to print that out, go down to the council, tell your unit leader that they've passed, and then the rank awards are presented after it's been to the council. So you want to give them the rewards soon after the board, but you don't do it that night because you have got to submit it to the council before you present the award. So it's not like you're going to have a stack of rank patches sitting in your box ready to go. When the rank is complete, you go to the council, hand it in, and then you pick up those awards. Then the next week you should present them to the kids. This isn't a non-COVID where we can meet in person thing. Now, sometimes you may decide that the scout was not ready to approve. And if that's the case, you better be really specific. So like in the case with our scout who didn't know what they were doing in their leadership position, we talked with the scout about, here's what you need to do is read this part of the book that describes what it's going to be. And we'd actually have them read their book. Oh yeah, I was supposed to do this. Say, when do you think you could have that done? And they'd say, well, can I do that in 2 camping trips within? Yes. So we will write a letter then that first of all, we'll remember who was we'll write down who was in the board so that we can try and get those same board members in. But we will send a letter to the scout to say, thank you, you did so many things great, but you were missing on this section. Take the next 2 months to do these things that have to do with your leadership position, and then come back and ask for a new board of review. That new board of review, I did not have to go and have them do the scout oath and law and all that jazz. We're just gonna cover the things they missed, and then we go on. And if that lasts more than 5 minutes, I would be surprised, but it's that fast. But if the kid wasn't doing the leadership, they need to do the leadership. And so they'll be able to tell stories about what they did, and then we'll go on like that.
Yeah, but two things that should be, first of all, it's really rare.
That's what I
As you
mean.
said.
3 and 15 years I've had. Yeah.
And the other thing is that feedback needs to go back to the leadership is, how did this scout go 6 months with nobody telling him what his job was?
Exactly.
That's a program problem, and it needs to go back and get fixed.
Exactly.
Because the scout shouldn't be finding out at his board review that he didn't do something. The expectation should be clear up front.
That's right. And sometimes
We have
that
5
means,
minutes.
okay, thank you. And sometimes that means that some other scoutmaster went through the stuff. So you don't have to require to take minutes. The scout can get a follow-up letter, and then all these notes get destroyed. Real quick, I think you know that in the scout through first class, it is basically about scout skills, learning all the camping stuff, the swimming, the first aid, all that sort of things. And what we'll do is expect that a scout who answers, what does loyal mean to you? Or how do you do your duty to God? That answer is probably going to be more sophisticated when they are star through life. So now the star through life, they do a little bit longer because they're going to talk about their leadership. They're going to talk about their service projects, not only their own, but what they've done for other scout service projects. And so it's more about the experiences, and also just make sure their scout spirit is going on. Are you working on your Eagle? Are you getting ready for that? Have you thought about your projects when they're at life? That's what they want to do. For the Eagle Scout rank, the council is the one who decides how to do that. And there is a council advancement chair, and that person will figure out, they have a routine of how they do their Eagle boards of review. In my district, they're every Sunday at this one location at 3 o'clock. And so all the scouts, that way that person doesn't have to go all over the county to find the Eagle boards. So everybody goes there when we do it. At least one person from the council, a council rep, has to be
District.
in the Eagle,
District.
Councilor district, yeah. Has to be in the Eagle Board of Review. Once again, it's just 3 to 6 board members over 21 years old. They don't necessarily have to be registered with the BSA, but it's important for them to understand the rank, the purpose, all that. And the scout will only get 1 Eagle Board of Review. The steps are basically, scout gets approved by the Scoutmaster Conference. They submit the application. They complete the requirements before their 18th birthday, which includes the Scoutmaster application. They should submit them to the council. The council will verify it, make sure and check with the advancement chair of the unit. And then they need to have that board of review within 90 days of their 18th birthday. And the unit advancement chair will ask for the reference letters. The scout does not go, the scout writes down who they want the reference letters to come from, but the scout does not go and get the reference letters. That is not the right thing, because the scout should never see those letters. They don't get copied on it. The parents don't see them. It is just goes straight to the advancement chair. Now, sometimes people will not answer those reference letters, and I cannot deny a board of review for that. That's not the scout's fault. That's those people's fault. I will follow up, but I can't deny it. They'll have their Eagle project workbook, and the board will get together 30 minutes before so that we can review the paperwork, read all the reference letters, any questions. Then the scout comes in. We do the board of review for maybe 30, 45 minutes, because we'll talk about their scout spirit, their duty to God, their project, their career goals, or their life ambitions, their scouting experience, stuff like that. Then we approve, it gets on the envelope. There's an envelope that all that stuff came in, and the district advancement person will take care of those things. They submit it, goes to national, and it's national that sends the awards back. We don't go to the scout shop to pick up an Eagle Award. That all comes from national, and they'll let us know when they're available, and that gets presented at a special Eagle Court of Honor that usually the family puts on. It can be at home. It could be at the unit meeting. Not at the unit meeting, at the unit location, like the charter organization, but it's not, an Eagle board is not done during a troop meeting.
It can be.
Huh?
It
Well,
can
it
be.
says it in the book, actually.
Well,
Yeah,
okay.
it's, I don't know why, but that's what they say. And again, the board, what do you call it, letters of recommendation are for the board's use only. We don't share them with the family. And then the district advancement will hold on to the letters in case there's some sort of anything, but once it's approved, then all that stuff is destroyed. There may be a few exceptions. If for some reason a unit will not sign the application, they can still have a board of review with this in section 8032, initiate under disputed circumstances. I've never seen this, and this might be something that maybe the unit dissolved or the scoutmaster's gone or something like this. But and I'm saying, does all members of the board agree to pass this process if there are guidelines regarding people to disagree the rank up? You mean, Eric, are you saying if somebody disagrees to pass it person? Is that what you're asking? Your mute is on, Eric. Okay, let me keep going so that you can unmute. All boards have to unanimously pass a scout, if that's what the question is. And if there's a disagreement, we might have to bring the scoutmaster back in and ask if there are questions, if you need clarification. Okay, then the Eagle, oh, sorry. There was, there might be something very unusual where an Eagle completed all their requirements when they were a youth, but somehow didn't get a board of review. If there is actual documentation, not just patches, but documentation that said they finished all their requirements, including their Scoutmaster conference before their 18th birthday, there's a way to do this, but that would be very unusual. Here's our board of reviews through video conferencing. It has to be granted by the council. Right now, during this time of COVID, it is possible it's granted. You have to test all the equipment first. Make sure that everybody must be visible. So for all of you not on camera, you wouldn't be able to do that in a board of review. It's for youth protection. Everybody is visible. The scout, the adults, everybody's visible. And what you do is a parent, one or two parents with the scout would be present. So we're off here in our room and the scout is at home or in some place with either their parent or 2 trained leaders. Again, you've got your youth protection, so it's not 1 trained leader, but 2 trained leaders. And to start the meeting, the scout and those adults will be there. And then what we do, we will have the scout do their introduction. The parents will leave the room. We'll do board of review. When we're done with the board of review, we put them back in the waiting room. I think you know what the waiting room is by now in the Zoom. And or if you don't know how to work the waiting room, just have that kid go out the room with the camera still on, so we know that they're not listening, you know, they're out of the room. And then the parents come back in with the scout for the conclusion of the stuff. Make sure that they have privacy and there is no recording, absolutely no recording. And we can sign the paperwork where we would normally sign their scout book, I mean, their actual physical scout handbook. Now you can do it on Scout Book. And what we've been doing is the scout will take a picture or scan their paper, their signature page. They send it to the advancement chair. They've been sending it around to us in email. We do a digital signature, send it back, and then at least the scout will have a record of it for themselves that they can do. This was one that we had. This was an Eagle Board of Review that we did with our troop this just last month. Here's the scout and their parents, and here we are from our council and the council and district people and from our unit. So
we're over time now.
yep,
so
and here I'm on my last slide, so we're good. So here's your, and this is all in the book. So here, and I'm going to do a quick stop share and show you this share screen, which was if you get the, if you go online and find this thing, this is boards of review, and it is, well, here's the whole advancement guideline, but everything that I wrote is exactly right out of this. Boards must be granted when requirements. There's the composition of thing. Parents, there you go. Unit leaders and shall not serve. No part in selecting. There you go. See how it's there? It is really a unit
so
not to
Kelly has her
participate.
hand up again.
Yes, Kelly?
I do, I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's good.
So-
No, it's good.
So when you're talking about the parents being there when the scout introduces themselves, are they physically present in the room? So like they're in the same Zoom box as
Yes.
the scout? So how do you put them in the waiting room? What? I didn't understand how you bring them back.
Okay, so the parents will be there, and here's my parent. Here's my parent, and my parent is sitting right here with me, you know, and they say, okay, mom and dad, go. I want to see them go out of the room and hear the door close behind them. They physically leave the room, and the scout is sitting there now with all of the board of review adults there. So the parent physically leaves the room.
So
Waiting room is a Zoom function.
Yes.
So the people who are on the board of review, you need at least 2 adults who are youth protection trained then. Is that correct?
Actually, it doesn't matter. Any adult is going to be youth protection trained, and because I need
any
at least
registered
3
adult.
for the board of review, I need at least 3 adults in there. So I'm going to have all my board is going to be sitting there before the scout gets. So when you go on Zoom, there's something called a waiting room. Do you know about that?
Yeah. But just
her
the like all the parents who are on a board of review need to be registered.
At
that
least
what you're
2
saying?
of them. At least
At
2
least
of
2,
them.
of
right?
them have to be
Same. And you
registered.
still have to have a woman in there if there's a girl who's
Oh, yeah.
on the right. So it's all the same rules as
Yes.
regular.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. And then this is kind of off topic, but the same sort of thing. Is this the same for the Scoutmaster conferences? The parents need to bring the.
Oh, yeah.
How
Actually,
does that work on Zoom?
I know what you mean. Yeah. I think that actually when I know that for a Scoutmaster conference, or sorry, anything, even if it's a troop meeting, I need to make sure I have at least 2 adults, 2 registered adults on Zoom before any scouts come in. So like even in our troop meetings, we need to make sure we have two adults waiting before the kids start plopping in.
Right, and in any of the breakout rooms, right?
Yes.
Yes, 2 per breakout room. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We
okay.
actually
All right.
couldn't get enough in our troop we couldn't get enough parents to show up to the meetings to have breakout rooms. So we had to stop doing it because we have
Okay.
4 patrols. You need 8 parents just all
Okay.
around. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So-
Thank you.
So quick question. So for Scoutmaster Conference, it's not just the Scoutmaster and the Scout, but there should be another adult who is not a parent.
Correct.
And the other parent may or may not be a uniform leader.
Correct. I think it says registered adults now, and that's a different, there is a, you know what I'm
Yeah,
going to
but
do?
this is a whole different topic and
Yeah,
we
but let
have
me
to be
give
really,
you-
really careful about that. So,
Let me give you I'm going to put in the chat and catch this thing. Here is the thing of the COVID FAQs, because it's in here where they
Yeah.
talk. So you should read this link here. You probably want to
Yeah.
copy that down, and they
But-
have about how to do that.
but we got to stop now because these people have to go to their next
Yeah.
class.
Okay,
So-
you guys, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Bye.
Chris.